Hi, my name is Andrew Fisher, creator of GetMoreDoneFast.com, CheapMealsNearMe.com, and SimpleWorkTable.com. I was laid off about a year ago, and I was one of several rounds of layoffs that are continuing to this day. And it took me a long time to understand what was happening in our economy today. I applied to over 300 jobs. I got pretty far in the interview process in some of them. And at some point I realized it seems like the system is broken. There are too many people looking for too few jobs. And it doesn't really make sense because the economy's doing great, supposedly. The market's up, they say. So what is going on? It took me a long time to learn how to articulate it. And I think about all of the families out there, people with kids that are experiencing layoffs. And, how do you talk about it to your kids? I put together a little storybook that I think might help, where I added some of my thoughts into a storyline that allows you to articulate, hopefully in a way that makes sense, where we are in our economy and where we go from here. I hope it's helpful for you. The story is called The Workers of Shine City. The Workers of Shine City. A great sadness had fallen upon Shine City. No one could buy anything because no one had any coins. Families were hungry and children had no toys. One day, Nestor, the leader of the council, called the people to the square to hear him speak. A toy maker named Liora looked on from the crowd. To end this sadness, Nestor announced, the council will let everyone borrow coins for free. We want everyone to live a good life and prosper. The news brought a spark of joy to the city. Nestor led everyone to the great vault, where Gilder, the coin keeper, guarded the city treasures. Gilder unlocked the iron door and opened it wide to reveal piles of gold coins. Take what you need to build and buy things, said Nestor. He believed that when coins were easy to get, everyone would become busy and happy once more. Liora was hopeful that her workshop would be busy and children would have toys. Sterling, a clever workshop manager, saw a big opportunity. He didn't just want a few coins, he wanted them all. He rushed to see Gilder with a bundle of scrolls. Since these coins cost nothing to borrow, I will take enough to buy every workshop in the city, Sterling said. He signed his name on the scrolls, promising to pay the council back later. One day, Liora was happily carving a beautiful little wooden bird when Sterling walked into her shop and pinned a scroll to the central pillar. I am the boss now, Sterling told Liora. The coins I borrowed bought this roof and these tools. Now, you must work harder than ever to make sure the council gets their gold back. Liora looked at the scroll and felt a small prickle of worry. Sterling hired more workers and kept them all busy. Liora was happy to be earning money, but the work was becoming harder with Sterling in charge. He wanted the place to look productive all the time. Pack these workshops with crates, Sterling ordered. Make them look full, even if they are empty. Liora spent all day stacking boxes, making the shop look busier than it actually was. One morning, Sterling showed Liora a map of the world. I am sending our carving work to a far-off village, he explained. People there will do the work for very few coins. Leora's heart sank. Carving was her favorite job. But if you send the work away, Liora asked, what will happen to my job here? Sterling was too busy looking at his map to hear her. There were so many borrowed coins in the city that everyone got tired of carrying them around, and they would rather spend them. All the workshops and stores had to raise their prices, or else people would buy everything they had with the borrowed coins. One evening, Leora's mother, Adara, and Liora sat to eat dinner. Liora, a loaf of bread costs twice as much as it did last week, Adara said. I must come to work at the workshop too, or we won't have enough to eat. Liora wished Sterling would pay the workers more coins for their hard work. But Sterling was already worried about the rising prices of everything in the city. He went to talk to Nestor and said,
My workers want more money. I don't know what to do. If I pay them more, I'll have to keep raising prices at my own shops, and everything will be expensive. He told Nestor about the cheaper workers in the other village, and Nestor said, "Why don't we invite them here? We can invite workers from distant lands to move here, and they will work hard for fewer coins." He unlocked the city gate and put up a big welcome sign. "There is plenty of work for everyone," Nestor promised. Sterling was happy. He knew that if there were more people wanting to work, he would keep his workshops busy and not have to give Liora and Adara any extra coins. Adara, Liora, and many villagers from all over the land worked together every single day. They were so busy trying to earn enough coins for food that they barely had time to look at each other. Whenever they asked for more coins, Sterling would say that he was worried about the high costs of resources. Liora thought that maybe he was talking about the price of wood. At night, Adara and Liora sat at their small kitchen table. They were too exhausted to play games or tell the stories they used to love. "We are working twice as hard, but we have less than we had before," Adara whispered, looking at their simple dinner. They realized that while the city was full of coins, they were not happy like Nestor promised. Nestor and the council realized the free coins had caused a problem. Prices were too high. Nestor and Gilder hurried to the great vault. "We must slow things down," Nestor cried. Gilder swung the door closed and began to turn the giant wheel with all his might. "From now on, the fee to borrow coins will be very, very high." Sterling heard the news and panicked. The scrolls he had pinned to the walls now cost a lot more gold to keep. Gilder came to the workshop with a heavy ledger. "The council needs their fees, Sterling," Gilder said firmly. Sterling looked at his workshops and realized he didn't have enough coins to pay the new higher costs. Sterling called all the workers together for a meeting. He stood on a high crate so everyone could see him. "The council has raised the fees, and I cannot pay for all of you anymore," he shouted. "I'm letting 30% of you go right now." Liora watched in shock as many of her friends were told to leave the workshop forever. Liora saw a little wooden bird on a messy shelf by the workbench and reached to pick it up. Holding it, she realized that Sterling saw her as a resource, just like the wood. But when she looked at the beautiful carving she had made long ago, she realized she had something Sterling didn't, the power to choose where her talent went. Liora and Adara stood up and packed their own tools. They realized they had the freedom to choose their own path. "Our time and our talent are worth more than Sterling's coins," Liora said. Together, they walked out of the workshop and toward the bright, open hills to start their own small shop. They were finally free to decide what their work was truly worth.
So, clearly, we are in a very complicated time, and there's no one solution, and there's no one origin of the problems. But I think a big part of the reason that we're experiencing so much disruption in the job market right now is because for the past 100 years, we've been referring to employees, people, as resources. You know, you've heard the term human resources, and I don't know if you ever thought about what that means, but it doesn't mean that they think highly of you. You are a resource to be extracted, and I think if you understand that, then everything else makes sense. Now, where do we go from here? I believe that there's hope, but I believe that it's through our own entrepreneurship and enterprise and hard work and going out there and accomplishing your goals and sort of leaving the system behind, the system that wasn't built to empower you. It was literally built to disenfranchise you. I think that there is a clear path forward, but it's not through the old ways of doing business. We have to come up with something new. We have to stop referring to humans as resources.